You're watching In Deep on the Delta. This is the weekly Delta fishing report for the week of January 19th. It's the middle of winter, and this is the time of year when we should be thinking about boat maintenance and getting all that taken care of. So we're starting out the program today down here at Paradise Point Boat and Engine Repair, or Engine and Boat Repair. If you don't know, they are over on Fremont Street in Stockton. A local business, local people out here, been around for over 20 years. Most of you know probably Lindsay. Raise your hand, Lindsay. If you've called down here, you're talking to Lindsay, you're talking to Nate. Garland is the owner. We got Jerry, head mechanic, and we got Tracy, and you are a mechanic. Mm-hmm. A couple quick words before we get into the report, and I just wanted to say that you guys have been around for a while, and I've been in here for years and years, but it's nice dealing with a small shop and getting to know the people. We all baby our boats. We want to know who's working on the boat, and that's one of the real advantages of coming in here. And the other advantage that I want to say, Lindsay will fool you. She's been dealing with boat parts for years and years. 22 years. You can call up and you can talk to Lindsay. If Lindsay doesn't know what's going on, she'll call Garland. And if you have a question, some sounds funny in my motor, so, should I be doing this, or something's not right, you can call and you guys will give them an honest answer. And say,
try our best to, try and help diagnose it, or
they'll be able
point you in the right direction.
They'll be able to tell you, hey, you need to come in and that needs to be checked out, or that's weather, that has to do with the weather or something like that. The other thing that I wanted to say is it's a full service shop, but they have a really good parts department. So a lot of guys, and my partner Junior was just, I got a chance to talk to him. He's doing his own maintenance. He calls up, he tells them, I need the maintenance kit for a 300-hour kit, whatever it is. They've got it all ready, paid for. He just comes in and walks out. So, it's just nice to know these guys and trust them. And so, Lindsay, one last time, could you give everybody the address and your hours of...
We are located at 1302 West Fremont Street in Stockton, 95203, located inside of Delta Marine Sales and Service. And we are open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, and Saturdays we're open 8 to noon. We do go to summertime hours, but we will be open till 5 o'clock.
Great.
Always open Saturdays till noon.
So you guys know where they're at. Stockton, Lodi, Manteca, Tracy, anywhere in the Central Valley. Come on in, check them out if you're looking for really high quality engine repair. Paradise Point Engine and Boat Repair. Thanks, Lindsay.
Thank you.
I know it hasn't been easy for you. So, all right, let's get in.
Jerry's over there in the window laughing at me.
We're going to get into the report right now. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to get right into the fishing report, and you guys probably know it's more of a water report than anything else. But I have some really interesting news, and I think you guys will enjoy this report. Oh, and by the way, thanks again to Russ for that footage, the aerial footage of the Delta, and if you guys want to see some more of the aerial footage that Russ has sent me, and this is going to be footage all the way from up above the Sacramento River through the Central Delta. After I do the report, I'll play a couple minutes of aerial footage so you guys can look at it and just see how, I'll just call it devastating, that last storm was that came through, just how flooded this whole area is. But anyhow, that will I'll put some more of that footage up at the end of the video. So let's get into what I'm going to call right now is a rumor, but one of my subscribers, Dale, who generally sends me reports every week, has heard a rumor that there was an 18-pound plus largemouth bass come out of New Maloney's. If anyone is out there heard that same rumor or can confirm that, let me know, because if that's the case, that's the largest bass that I've heard of coming out of Northern California in many, many years. Right now it's just a rumor, but man, I hope someone could confirm that. And hey, if you're the guy that caught it, definitely hit me up. I'd like to talk to you. So that's the first. We'll start off with a rumor this report. ISE show, the International Sportsman Show in Sacramento, starts today, the 19th through the 22nd. I will be there all 4 days at the Fisherman's Warehouse booth, and I'm looking forward to all you guys that have been watching the channel. If you come by, make sure you say hi. I'm looking forward to meeting you guys. That's the ISC show. I have a date for Toxic Day, and that is Cesar Chavez from Toxic Baits. He has a day where all of the custom bait makers from all over the state converge. It's going to be June 24th out at Russo's. It's going to be a very interesting day if you are a bass fisherman. I highly recommend you putting June 24th on your calendar, getting out there and meeting some of these bait makers, give you guys a chance to buy some custom baits. And like I said, I'll talk to Cesar, maybe get him on to say a few words about specific information. But that's going to be out at Russo's June 24th. What else do we have? A little mistake I made. I put a video out Tuesday. It was on crayfish, why I'm changing my game. I think that was what I called it. But I failed to put a chart that I wanted to put in that video. And for you guys that watch the video, I want to send you over to another site that you can pull this same chart up. And this is a chart that has to do with colors of crayfish and how they change through the season, from spring to summer to fall, through the whole season. It gives you some suggestions on what colors you should be changing throughout the season. And obviously the name of that, if you Google up crayfish color chart, you'll find a site called Sport Fishing Buddy, and if you go to that one site, you'll be able to scroll down. It has a really nice color chart. It has pictures of crayfish on it, and then it tells you the colors that you should be using for the specific time of year that you're out there. So sorry I forgot to put that in, and for those of you who didn't watch that video, you should watch that video. Okay, what do we got? Toxic Day. Okay, let's get into I'll call it the Central Valley NorCal Lake Level Reports. And this is going to be interesting because last week I gave you the reports as far as water capacity and how full the lakes are. And we're going to be able to look at the amount of increase that the lakes have been rising. And remember, we're talking about the percent of capacity and the percent of average. And I just want to go over that one more time. The capacity of a lake is at full 100% capacity, and most of the lakes here in the Central Valley never reach capacity because they have to be they are all designed for flood control, and they have to keep them at a little lower than capacity so they have the ability to accept water as these storms come in. So the capacity is full all the way up to the top, and the average percent, which I will also be reading, that is what the state takes a 15-year average on the given day that for, let's say today is the 22nd, whatever, yeah, the 22nd. They take the average height of the lake level for 15 years and they give you that average. So that is the average. So here we go. Shasta, last week the percent of capacity was 42% full. Now it's 52% full. The average over the last 15 years, it's been 78% full at this time of the year, and it's up to 83%. Oroville, the capacity was 47 last week. Now it's 57. The average has been 88 over the last 15 years. It's 104 this year. Really good for Oroville. Folsom Lake, the capacity last week was 42%. Now it's up to 54%. The average capacity is usually around 99%. It's at 123 of average capacity. Really good for Folsom. Berryessa, last week 58% capacity. Now it's up to 64. They're usually running the average around 77. This week it was up to 85. New Maloney's was 58 last week. It's 64. Well, you know what? I think I must have we're not going to have that one from Maloney's. I think that's the one that I have for Berryessa. But for the average capacity, they're usually running around 56, and now they're running about 66. So New Maloney's is filling up nicely too. Let's see, Clear Lake, that's going on the Rumsey scale. We talked about that last week. Last week it was 1.42 on the Rumsey. Check this out. This week 3.78. That's about a little over that's about 2 feet that Clear Lake has risen. So the lakes are looking really good, and I know we're all dying to get out. You know, the storms have been in here rolling through, and a lot of us haven't been out on the water, including myself. And I'm just saying that I need to be the voice of reason here. Don't tell my wife that, because if she heard that, she'd probably laugh. But as far as on the Delta, I'm going to be suggesting that we actually stay off the water for this week if you are in a boat. And the reason being, we have such high water out here right now that we don't need people running around in boats with wave action that's helping to erode the bank. And I have been on the Delta. I have not been out on the Delta in my boat, but I have been patrolling the banks, and I've talked to several of the farmers out here. They are really serious about, patrolling this time of year, because they all have weak spots in the banks that they're watching. And what they don't need is to have a bunch of, especially cruisers or power boats, coming by and having more wave action that's going to help erode the bank and possibly cause a leak. So if you're fishing out of a kayak or you're on the bank, that's fine. You guys go out, and if you get out there, send me a report. Like I said, I went out for about 20 minutes one day and just hoofed it up and down the bank on a couple of banks, and it basically, what it did for me, it confirmed a couple of things about me. Number one, I know that I have a lot of harebrained schemes, and after I went out on Tuesday, it also confirmed that going out on Tuesday was one of the biggest harebrained schemes that I've had in the past little while anyhow. So it just wasn't worth going out. I didn't catch any fish. Water's chocolate colored, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. So anyhow, I would suggest that stay off the water for a week or so. Let's wait to see how high the water gets after this last storm, and maybe in a week or so when it starts going down, we can get back out in boats and start fishing it see what comes down the line. I will also say that my partner Russ, that has been flying over the Delta every day that it has been safe to fly, I asked him if he's seeing any boats out there. He says, he sees a few of the barges going up and down, the working barges, but as far as pleasure craft or fishermen, they're just not out on the Delta. So I thought I'd throw that in. That is the reports for the Central Valley. And I've got some footage of Comanche here that I'll show you really quick. And Comanche is doing really well. It's about 75% of capacity, and it's 125% of average. So Comanche's looking great for all you guys that are living up in the foothills, and you're going out and thinking about going out to Comanche. And that's what I'm going to suggest. If you need to take the boat out when we're having these days in between storms, go out to a mother lode lake, find one that has spots in it. You're probably going to catch a lot more fish than you would here on the Delta. Okay. All right, before we get into the full Delta scene here, I want to talk about a few videos that I'm going to be doing coming up. And because we're all kind of landlocked here, I'll do a video on motor maintenance. You guys know that I was out at Paradise Point. I got to talk to Jerry, and I really had a good discussion with Jerry is the head mechanic out there. I had a really good discussion with Jerry about additives that we're all using for our motors, and I think you guys will be surprised on some of the information that I got from Jerry. So that'll be coming up on a motor maintenance. I'm also going to be doing a couple of videos that are preparing everybody for what's coming up this spring and fall. And one of the things that I'm going to do, it's going to be something on how to prepare to conquer the Delta this spring. And as this water falls and clears up and we get out there and we start fishing this spring, it's going to be a little different than last year or the last 5 or 6 years, and we're going to have to really keep an open mind. We're going to have to bounce around, look for some maybe try some new baits, and really be versatile when we come out here. So I'll do a video on some of the things that I think I'm going to be changing and doing to scout around out here, and hopefully that'll help you guys, to give you guys some information on or some ideas on what you might want to do. And last but not least, I'm going to do a video on how to catch your personal best. If you've noticed, a lot of the videos that I've done recently have been on just putting a bait on that you can go out and get bit and catch fish, those average fish that are 1.5 pounds to 2.5 pounds, and you get lucky and catch that 3, 4, 5 pound fish. But this is going to be a video that fully focuses on how you can have your best chances at going out and catching a PB. That'll be coming down the line. Okay, with that, let's get right into the to the Delta. As I said, I was out. I've been out here at Paradise Point and up and down the banks at Herman and Helen's, and where else have I been? King Island. The water is super high out here. You have no visibility at all. I have had some information that there are some stripers in the system, and there are a few guys, the hardcore guys that are going up and anchoring out around the Sacramento River, way up by the Port of Sacramento. They're catching a few stripers, but it's nothing to get excited about. Not a lot of people out here fishing for bass. I have had a few reports from guys that have been out in kayaks, and everything has been zero. They're not catching a darn thing. I talked to a guy at the ramp today that went out he was out in a small aluminum boat, and he fished for a couple hours just trying to pick up a striper or whatever he could. He had zero bites and no action. So the fishing out here is extremely tough, and like I said, I would suggest at least this week to stay off the water in your boats. If you have to get out in a kayak or go bank fishing. Here is a sign that is a glimmer of hope that I just saw today. As I'm out here right now, it's an incoming tide, and I can actually see water moving in. The last week or so, there's been so much water coming down the channel that there's never an incoming tide, or I've never seen the tide actually moving in. The water coming in overpowers the tide, so it's always a high outgoing tide. Today is the first time I can see. I'm looking out here at Paradise Point, and I can see Tules and hyacinth moving in, telling me that we're getting a little fluctuation. So we'll see what happens the next couple of days with the rain. Hopefully it's supposed to be just a 1/4 inch here, a 1/4 inch there. We still have 1 day left to see if that big rain that we had a couple days ago is going to flush some more water in here. But river conditions are tough. Farmers are really concerned about the levees, and there's nobody out here. It's not worth coming out here, guys. So with that, I will say, the other day I was out here, I met one of the gentlemen that does the electroshocking, and what they're doing right now is they were coming out Wednesday to electroshock, and I think they were coming out of Paradise Point, the fish that are going in the aquarium at the ISE show. So for you guys that are at the show, I believe all the fish, if they get any fish that you see in there, are shocked right here around Paradise Point. And it was interesting to know that when they come out here, the guy says, they very seldom go very far. It's, right here in Bishop Cut or Disappointment, very localized, and they always get fish that are 5, 6, 7, 8 pounds. Last year, the biggest fish they shocked right around Paradise was 11 pounds. So hopefully we'll see what they have in that tank, and that'll give you an idea if the fish are still here. I think they are. So everybody just hang in, and the water will go down. It's going to clear up, and man, I can't wait for this spring. we're gonna have a great spring. Everybody's gonna come out there. It's gonna be fantastic. We're all gonna be catching fish like we never caught fish before. So stay tuned in. I thank you guys for watching, and talk to you next week. I probably won't see you on the water, but I'll talk to you next week.